When the truth sounds like a conspiracy, my fight for justice amidst corruption and abuse. There's a certain kind of pain that comes when you're screaming the truth into a world that refuses to listen. A pain that doesn't just sit on the surface, but it embeds itself into your very being, weighing down every step you try to take forward. The more I speak, the more I share my story, the more I fight for justice, the more I am met with silence, or worse yet, complete dismissal. What do you do when the systems that are designed to protect and serve are instead the very systems that are actually enabling this abuse? What do you do when every avenue you take in pursuit of truth and accountability only leads to another closed door, another empty promise, or just a blatant act of corruption? What do you do when your abuser manipulates the very institutions meant to protect victims and turn them into tools of further harm? For years, I have been stuck in an abuse cycle that CPS not only failed to stop, but actively enabled. Instead of providing safety, they forced me into a nightmare where every move I made, every attempt to seek help was turned against me. My words were twisted. My intentions were questioned. My rights were stripped away. And no matter how much evidence I provided, no matter how many times I exposed their lies and inconsistencies, they continue to evade accountability because they don't have to answer. And the worst part? The more I fight, the more it begins to feel like I'm screaming into an empty void. There is something particularly cruel about the way the truth can be dismissed as a delusion when it's too inconvenient for those in power. I am forced to watch as CPS, the courts, and those complicit in this corruption paint me as an unstable and untrustworthy, as just another disgruntled parent. I see how easily my suffering can be dismissed when those who should be held accountable work harder to suppress my voice than they ever did to protect my children. And with every injustice that compounds, with every new wrong that goes unanswered, I know how easy it would be for outsiders to look at my story and think it's just too much. Too many failures, too much corruption, too many institutions turning a blind eye. And suddenly, I sound like a conspiracy theorist. But this is not a conspiracy. This is my life. This is my reality. A reality built on documented facts, on undeniable patterns of abuse, on a system that thrives on silence and the suffering of those too broken to keep fighting. The only thing unbelievable about my story is how blatant the corruption has become, and how those in power continue to act with impunity because they know the odds are stacked in their favor. But I refuse to stop speaking, even when my words go ignored, even when the weight of it all makes me want to give up, even when my heart breaks knowing the truth, clear, factual, and undeniable truth, can still be brushed aside as delusions by those who don't want to face it. Because I know silence is exactly what they want. I know that if I stop speaking, if I stop fighting, then they win. And I cannot allow that to happen. Not for me, not for my children, and not for the countless other families who have been torn apart by a system that was supposed to protect them. Reform is not a suggestion. It is not an option. It is an absolute necessity. And while I may be one voice in this battle, I know that I'm not alone. The truth will come to light, and I pray that when it does, my story will not have been in vain, but instead a catalyst for the change that is so desperately needed. To anyone reading or listening to this who have felt unheard, unseen, or silenced, keep speaking, keep pushing forward, keep demanding accountability, because the only thing more powerful than the systems designed to break us is the collective strength of those who refuse to be broken. We are not alone, and we will not be silent. Thank you.